Hi friends, today we're going to talk about the dream meaning of sleeping in a dream, like when you see yourself or someone else asleep in a dream. And we're also going to talk about fainting and passing out because those have a little different meanings. But when you think about sleeping in a dream, you probably can guess that sleeping is a very passive thing we do, right? So when we're sleeping, we're inactive. So if you dream where you see yourself asleep or you see someone else asleep, it usually means that that person is unaware of a problem or not dealing with an issue in their life, right? They are taking a passive, they're not doing anything, in their life, their spiritual life, to move forward. They're at a standstill, they're asleep. Okay, they're sleeping through their life in some issue that they may be having. So they're not making progress. And the reason why you sleep, there's different reasons for why a person might sleep. And the first reason is that, they're lazy and they want to sleep and they're oversleeping. Okay. So sometimes people sleep more than what they need to get rest. In that case, you're dealing with the fact that you're really unconcerned with anything in your life. You don't really care to change anything, or maybe there's issues in your life, but you really don't care to face them at all. It could be that you're just very comfortable with where you are, or that that changing may require something of you that you're not ready to do, and so you don't want to deal with it. You're just asleep. It can also be, that someone's just unaware of an issue, you just don't even know. So in that case, you're just completely ignorant to the fact that there's even anything going on, and so you're asleep, and the dream could be kind of like a wake-up call, hey, you're sleeping through something that you should be dealing with, perhaps. It can also be that, for example, you could sleep because you need to sleep, because you actually need rest. In that kind of case, there's something going on in you that you're processing things. You're going through a change, but there's things that are you're just still processing. How people will say let me sleep on it. They need to process some things in their lives before they can wake up and act on it. So it's not necessarily always bad per se, but usually it means that there's some sort of avoidance of an issue in your life. And then there's also a really good meaning for sleep, which would be that you're just peacefully so comfortable and you're at such peace and such rest in your life that the sleeping then would be perhaps good. But most people are going to say that sleeping in a dream tends to have a more negative meaning, okay? Because you are not moving forward. It's revealing that you're asleep in your life. And who wants to do that? Nobody, right? We all want to move forward. And so if you have a dream where you see yourself asleep, or where you're lying in bed, or I don't know, trying to sleep, I would pray about what is it in my life that I need to face and deal with and not take a passive role in, right? So again, most of the time it is negative because you're not taking an active role in your life in moving it forward. And why would someone choose to do that? Because you're making a choice pretty much, and it's showing up in your subconsciously or whatever. You're making a choice to not deal with it. And a lot of times it's because people are kind of afraid of maybe what God would have them do in a situation. It might be difficult. So again, they're comfortable in their discomfort and they'd rather just do nothing about situations. But a lot of time it is that people are just kind of unaware, or that God wants to do more with them in their life, that he wants you to do like bigger things. And so having this dream could spur you into action. I think it should spur you into action, regardless of what the reason is why you're asleep. Unless, of course, it's just one of those dreamy, like really feel good dreams where you're sleeping because you're at such peace in your life. Most of the time, though, it's going to show a problem, that you're avoiding something, that you're asleep in your life. It's not very good. And so you just don't want to avoid issues. You want to pray for wisdom on how to deal with certain things. Because I know I've seen people who, they kind of misunderstand the whole like positive thinking thing, where they think that like denial is positive thinking. Like if I just deny this issue and just tell myself it's not happening, I'm going to say, I'm going to speak these things over myself. And really it's just sort of a fancy way of avoiding issues that go on in our lives. So what we need to do is just, rather than avoid things, try to deal with things in a positive, proactive way so that you can move forward. And, hopefully you won't have a lot of those sleeping dreams. And it could be someone else in your dream that's sleeping, that's taking that role. And a lot of times when you have that where someone else is asleep, it will in some way be affecting you, like someone else's inactivity or passivity or not dealing with an issue, then it's affecting you, and that's why you're dreaming it. You're dreaming about them. But regardless, the way that you deal with that, I think, to move forward, is that you need to like pray for wisdom on what to do. Like you need to go to God and ask, like, how do I move my life forward? And I think the first step is really to make a commitment to doing whatever it is that God will have you do. So because if you have somehow in your life decided, well, I'm just going to do what I want to do, then you'll probably have sleeping dreams, or if you have any dreams at all, because a lot of people like that, they just don't even dream at all, because they're not receiving that guidance. They haven't tapped into it at all. But if you have, you may have those sleeping dreams, and they are warning that you need to move your life forward. Because again, this is how people end up spending years of their lives and not growing. Just they're still the same person, or there's just very little growth after 10-20 years. There's just very little growth in their life in whatever area. And I definitely don't want that for myself. But anyway, there's another dream, and that is the dream of like fainting or passing out. And those dreams are different because the passing out dream or the fainting dream has to do with the fact that you are you're so overwhelmed with whatever issue you're facing that you just can't even deal with it. Okay, so that's what happens, is you just like pass out because you are in a situation that is just too much. It's like you cannot deal with it, and in the dream you'll faint, you'll pass out. In that kind of a dream, you want to look at like, are you passing out because you're drinking, or you're under the influence of something? Because that would be really negative. That would mean that you are being influenced by things that are not like really you know what I mean? Outside influences that could be just like fear and unbelief, hopelessness, all those kinds of really strong emotions that can hit you. And so that's really not good. Okay. But it could also not necessarily, like if you're not passing out because of drinking, then it's not really like negative influences. It's something going on like within yourself. You could still be having a lot of those same emotions, but at least it's not coming from from a dark spiritual source, I guess. I mean, it all does, but it's more like your own thinking. It's just not as negative. And in that situation of like passing out or fainting, it's kind of important, like, do you fall down? Because that would mean like really negative, negative circumstances. Or are you able to like sit down and get yourself together and just take a rest? So those are the kinds of things to look at in those kind of dreams where, you just all of a sudden are passing out. How serious is it? It can be really bad to where you're like falling, or it can be where you can at least like kind of gather yourself together, sit down and go to sleep, which would probably be that time where you're going to be processing things and letting God work. Like, you're resting and you're getting yourself together, but God is still at work in your life. It's not the same as someone who's just sleeping because they don't want to deal with issues in their lives. So the good news is that if you have a sleeping dream where you're sleeping or someone else is, you can wake up, right? Or that person can wake up. I mean, the good news is that it represents like something God wants to do in your life. It could represent like a blessing that's dormant, let's say, something that needs to be awakened in your life. And so the good news is that it's not dead. It could be awakened, it could be renewed, it could be revived. And how you do that, this is where you really, are going to want to have a relationship with God where He speaks to you and gives you guidance. And guys, I know God can do that in many different ways, of course, like when we read the Bible and, times of like meditation, worship, all that, just speaking to us like through our thoughts and impressions and leadings, right, of the Holy Spirit. But that's why I think like the dreams are such a powerful way, such a powerful tool for you to get direction, because you might need to act, you might need to do something, is what I'm saying, to start to move forward in your life again, and you can get that guidance, especially through your dreams, more specifically for your situation. Okay, well, I've had some interesting dreams about sleeping, and one of them had to do, like a long time ago when I was in a relationship, that, when it ended, it was the whole like passing out. Like, I was having such a difficult time processing those emotions that I just dreamt that I passed out, because for a while I could not deal with just the negativity from it all. Okay. But I also had another dream where basically like this person was asleep and he just really needed to sleep. He needed to rest. He was tired. And so it wasn't negative, I guess, that he wasn't avoiding anything, but that was just the process maybe that he was undergoing spiritually. I don't know. But the only problem was he was asleep in my bed. And I, like, sleeping to where the bed was only so big and he's taking up all this space and, spread out. And I wanted to sleep in the bed, but there's like no room. And so I'm trying to move him to get off of my bed and go somewhere else and sleep, so that I could get some rest, because in the dream I was also very tired and needing to rest. So that dream really is interesting, and it just speaks about a person who is maybe not dealing with a situation that is then I'm having to deal with it. It's preventing me from being at peace or being at rest about certain things because of the fact that they're not dealing with it. So guys, I feel like I'm getting so personal here telling you about some of the dreams I've had. I almost would like to say, oh, there's a woman I know who had this dream, but I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to tell you stuff, okay? So I hope that helps you understand your sleeping dreams, and hopefully you're having, or you've had sleeping dreams. They're good dreams to have, in the sense that it's better to have them than to be so asleep that you don't even have them at all, guys. So it's not necessarily a negative dream, even though it is negative, but in my opinion, it's better to know these things so that you can actually address it. And I firmly believe that God will speak to people in their dreams, giving them guidance. And that's everybody. You may not be like gifted at interpreting your dream. That doesn't mean you won't get a dream though. And you could develop your own dream language so that you can eventually start to understand, but you got to start somewhere. And even if you don't understand, you can try to find somebody who does. Okay, again, with that comes the problem of believing every interpretation. I just really dislike it when people are so quick to interpret dreams, especially in a very negative way, because there's a difference between a warning dream and a dream where people are like, oh, that means that death is near and you know you will die, or someone in your family will die. Like, I honestly don't even understand how people can pronounce things like that. I think that's evil, and that's not coming from a good place, because I think the dreams are meant to help us. They're meant to give us, it's like having a flashlight and being able to see where you go. So even like bad dreams, even like the worst nightmare would be a good dream, because it's giving you insight to where you are spiritually, and then you can actually do something about it. I mean, the worst part would be to be completely in the dark and completely oblivious to what's going on. And I have had dreams like that where people are just asleep, and they, I think that means God's revealing to me kind of where they are spiritually. So it's not a good dream, but you can at least pray for the person. You can start to intercede. You can do something to help them to wake up, and again, I would definitely recommend praying about it and seeing how God leads you to deal with it. Sometimes he may have you say something to that person, or not, or just pray, but you will get wisdom and guidance on how to handle it. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much to those of you who have given me encouraging feedback that you like my videos. I really feel like I need that encouragement right now, because sometimes I just wonder whether these are helpful for you or not. But I do like making them, so I hope that they are. Feel free to send me your dreams. I will help you. I'll tell you what I think they mean, and you can pray about it and see whether or not it's right. Because again, you'll have an inner witness and a knowing about it. I usually don't even interpret anything unless I really feel that I understand the dream, because it's okay to not know. And that's the thing with some of these dream interpreters. It's like they can't just say, I don't really know what that means. I mean, if you don't know, just say you don't know. It may be this, it may be that, because again, you're the one that the message is for. And you should, even if you can't interpret your own dream, you should be able to discern the correct interpretation, right? So guys, please feel free to message me if you need help with that. Thanks for watching.